ensure that stakeholder requirements are of a high quality? Quickest way to do that is identify how many times you go and speak to the output people and how many times they need to go back and clarify with the input people. I see this too often in projects. So I'd like to introduce you to a concept called SMART. This is where you take your stakeholder requirements and use the SMART acronym to be able to increase the quality. S in SMART stands for specific. This is where you need to gather as much information from the stakeholder so that it provides the people who are going to provide the solutions and outputs with enough detail and information to determine exactly what you're after. The more specific you can be at this stage, the better chance you'll be able to find a solution that will meet your needs. The second thing is, once you've been specific, you need to make sure your requirements are measurable. And what we need to do with that is ensure that we work out what the tests are, or the acceptance criteria of knowing when the requirements will actually achieve the outcome. A good way of doing that is when you're speaking to your stakeholders, actually ask them how they plan on testing the requirement or knowing when that feature or function is delivered. The third thing is making sure that the requirements are achievable. Every project is limited by constraints, whether that be time, money, resources, or quality. So what we do is we balance those against the project objectives and the deliverables of the project. The next stage is then whether or not the stakeholder requirement is realistic. Obviously there is risk associated, there is a certain budget and time frame that needs to be met by delivering these stakeholder requirements. And this is a measurement of making sure that we can achieve the result. Remembering not all stakeholder requirements are mandatory, so you can classify them here into mandatory, important, and nice to have. Last is traceable. And what that means is who actually provided you with the stakeholder requirement? What time did they give it to you? What date? The reason why we capture this information is should the people who are taking these requirements and needing to deliver the solution don't understand, they know who to go back and ask or know what part of the area and system they need to look at to understand what that stakeholder requirement is all about. So as you can see, by making sure you use the SMART acronym, it gives us the ability to increase the quality of our stakeholder requirements and ultimately deliver greater project success. Prime example of a stakeholder requirement is that the system requires support. Some people may say that support is in business hours. Now, business hours is not specific enough. Is that 9 to 5? And if it is 9 to 5, is that in New York time, Mountain time, or Pacific time? So as you can see, without being specific, someone will make the assumption due to the fact that there wasn't enough information or being specific enough. So using SMART will increase the quality of your requirements, and by keeping this in your mind when you're preparing the requirements or verifying them after the fact, SMART requirements increase quality requirements. Better quality requirements, better results. So on your next project, what refinement process are you going to use to make sure that we can deliver projects successfully by having good quality stakeholder requirements?